everybody, this is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Scoop News. And this is a local news coverage of the Sarasota County's latest and greatest news. And right now, in the first few minutes, I go ahead and I share it on a few pages so that I can get the word out. It is live, so it's unscripted, it's unedited. Whatever I say and do, it goes. I have to go with it. I have to run with it. You can ask any questions. Just use the bar, ask any questions. I'm monitoring it. A lot of times, though, I notice that I don't see them all. I'll see them after I get done, but during the show, for some reason, not all of them show up there. But go ahead and put it. If I see it, I'll respond. If you just want to say, hey, this is such and such, tuning in, checking it out, check what's the scoop, go ahead and do that. We'll start off right now as I share on one more page, just Halloween. One question I've gotten every year for what? How long have I been doing the scoop? 9 or 10 years? I don't even remember. When I think just before I left Italy. But every time I get asked this, basically the same question around this time is, what time do we trick or treat at? And I always respond, I don't know. Usually it's just when it gets dark. I put out something that the Northport police put out, but that wasn't too accurate either. And I'll cover that in a second because it had like this long range. It's like, okay, well, between 9 and 10, or 5 and 10. And hey, Cindy's in the house. So, cover the local news. Feel free to type anything in. Share this as much as you want. The more people, the better. It really pisses off local MSM. And we'll get started with some of the news. There's not a ton of news today locally. It's pretty dry out there as what's normal. What's the scoop? Cindy wants to know what the scoop is. So let's go ahead and get started with the scoop. You know what? Since I was just talking about Halloween, here it is, that Northport tweet. Basically, they said between 5 and 10. I got to tell you, if a kid comes knocking on my door at 10, they're not getting candy. They might have me coming out with my gun wondering who the hell is trying to break in. Wow, 5 and 10. I can't imagine 10 o'clock. I would say dusk. As soon as it's dusk. What is that, 5:30, 6 o'clock, somewhere in there? That's when I normally start seeing kids around. I live in Pine Brook. And in Pine Brook, in Venice, you don't see too many kids. They're few and far between. So we'll sit out there. My wife and I usually will just sit out there chit-chatting, playing on the phones, and waiting to see who comes by. There are better neighborhoods. That's the other question I've been asked. Which one's the better neighborhoods? And, it all depends. Obviously, I know Venice a little bit better. Everybody in Venice goes to Stony Brook for some reason. Not sure why. That's like the creme de la creme when it comes to handing out candy. So that's the place to be. So that's trick or treat for you. And watch the drugs. I've seen a lot of that lately. The drugs, between somebody yesterday finding pills in the some Halloween event they went to another one with the spice candy, and I just don't remember that stuff. And I think I said the other day, what I remember is watch out for the razor blades in the chocolate candy. My mom had to inspect it every year before we could even eat it. We had to dump our bags out, and she'd have to inspect them before we could eat them. Tweet from the beat. Sarasota Police, they do this. Sarasota County every once in a while. Northport PD, I think I've seen do once. Never Venice, where they go out and they just tweet all their stuff that they're doing on an ongoing basis. And what I do is whenever they put a tweet out, I'll share it on here. You got Officer Chavez collecting spray paint cans from somebody that went out and decided it was a good idea to spray paint. This old elderly lady here is upset because somebody's bike is tied to her tree. She doesn't know whose it is. And here's one where the guy wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and another one ran a stop sign, I believe. And so they just put all their different tweets on there. I just aggregate them all into one site for you guys. Sometimes they're pretty interesting. I think Geneva, the Sarasota Police Department's PIO, she's the one that goes out on them, and she's actually pretty humorous, some of the stuff that she puts out with her tweets out there. Bill Warner, if you don't know, is a private investigator. I don't know him. My friend Don Cogswell does, I believe. I've followed him, and he puts out some interesting stuff, and he just he talked a little bit about the Sarasota Riverview incident and what happened with the guy coming on the bus with the gun. And apparently, the guy's a thug in the school. Not only is he a felon, he's a thug in the school. And one of his friends that is associated with him basically was terrorizing one of the teachers the other day. The teacher, they interviewed the husband, and the husband said, look, my wife was terrified. She didn't go to school, I think, for a day or two. She went back on the job. She's gotten no answers from Riverview. They've sort of been silent about it, and they're not getting any guidance. So essentially, Bill Warner talks about that. There it is. Dean Daughtry tells his wife was very upset. She didn't know the student who he was, and he was threatening her. I guess this kid put his foot in the door and said, hey, and just scared the hell out of her. There's surveillance out there outside the room. They captured it, but nothing ever came of it. The kid's still around there, and she doesn't feel like she's getting support. Then he talked about another incident. This is actually an incident that wasn't really covered. Finally, a few days or weeks later, it was picked up, involving 3 individuals that, I believe it was an armed robbery. Yeah, armed home invasion. 3 individuals from basically the same neighborhood. So Bill Warner, on top of that, he became known from his research into the terrorist and their ties and association to Sarasota with the flight school and everything. That's where I think his claim to fame is from. New technology, I just thought this was interesting. I don't know if it's accurate. We'll take a quick listen.
Be breaking into your car without you even knowing it. That's what a Cape Coral woman says happened to her.
She says she only realized this when she needed her wallet. She couldn't find it. So how are they doing this? One possibility is digital hacking. Tonight, 4 New Corners' Lisa Greenberg showing you exactly how this hacking can work so you can protect yourself. Lisa?
Well, Patrick and Amy, this woman says she's now constantly looking over her shoulder after...
I'm going to watch it as they talk. Digital hacking, essentially what this lady says is, look, I lock my car when I get out. It auto locks when I'm so far away. And then they have somebody else come on that talks about how there are devices where they can walk behind you and basically pick up the codes from your remote and access your car, theoretically.
She follows a strict ritual every time.
I turn my car off.
And I don't find that hard to believe because you see it with everything else. Wait, let's see. I think it's coming up.
As she knows her gray Kia Optima was locked when her car was broken into earlier this month and her wallet was stolen while she was at work.
They made a quick entry and grabbed and left.
Here's where Heather parks her car when she comes to work, always in this same spot. So she's hoping that the surveillance camera here at the Wells Fargo or the camera at this strip mall right behind where her car is parked will catch the person responsible. But she does have a theory as to how they were able to pull this off.
Some new technology, because there was...
All right, they're going to come on in a second and talk about the new technology. I don't know if it's new. Here it is.
The device is capturing the radio frequency of their remotes.
This is what it looks like. And if you look at this surveillance video out of California, you can see a man walk by, mysteriously holding a device in his left hand. Moments later, he's able to open the car door without a problem.
It's really scary because
All right, so the gist of this is, with technology is great, but technology has its downside. And you can see it right here where an individual can essentially walk by with this device, get the radio frequency, and essentially have access to your car. So that's just something else you got to worry about out there. Something I wasn't even aware of. I guess I should have been aware of it because it's common sense. They can hack anything anymore. I was listening to a show the other day. What was I listening to? Can't remember what it was, but they were talking about your smart ovens and how somebody was able to get in there and hack it, and they did this whole illustration of it on a video, and it was pretty interesting. So essentially anything that puts out a radio frequency, anything that's internet based, they can hack. They're vulnerable, and you got to remember that with new technology. Again, we are live and international, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. Or make a statement if you just want to make a statement. We have a short news story cycle today. Not a lot of news out there. This next one essentially covers the new football or Northport. And I guess the comp plan called for Northport to be a destination for individuals to live at a lower level that have a lower level income, to live affordably and work in Sarasota, Venice. And I didn't realize that. That's essentially what it was designed around. Now it's changing, and some people like this lady are all about it. They said this is a good thing. A lot of it's with the Westfield Village. You know, when Chris was on before, that's Chris Brantley there. When he was on before, he kept saying downtown, downtown, and people came on saying, that's not downtown Northport. Obviously, it wasn't downtown Northport. What it is, though, this is going to be the new downtown. The downtown for Westfield Villages. And when you have 40,000 houses, I think it is going to be, it can be the downtown. Now, it may end up being the new downtown for Northport. Because I got to tell you, I drive there. My mom lives there, my mother-in-law, my sister, nieces, and stuff. I don't know exactly where you would consider downtown Northport. To me, I drive 41 all the time. Like here, I know when I go to Sarasota, basically Main Street is downtown. When I go to Venice, the island, around Venice Avenue, downtown. I don't really know when I go to the other locations. And now my wife knows I'm live. She must not be watching. All right, so they talked a little bit about how it's expanding, how some people think it's a great thing. They also talked about across the street from Warm Meadow Springs, how they're planning on putting up a wellness facility and the hotels and stuff, and a lot of the different direction they're going in the growth. And you're going to see more and more of this growth, especially with the Atlanta Braves coming on. But remember, one thing they haven't planned for is infrastructure. We haven't seen the infrastructure. Now, they are trying to get another hotel. That's part of the infrastructure. But River Road, nothing, niente, zero. And that's going to be a major headache, folks. A major headache, I say. She's a kook. Yes, Cindy, my wife, is a bit of a kook. Let's see. Indian Beach Sapphire next door. This was, I like this thing. It's an app. There's the video. It's an app. Let's take a quick listen to it. Well, no, we're not. Okay. It's an app, and what happens is you download this app, and people that are within the neighborhood, they can join the app, and they can say, yeah, we're going to be giving out candy. I don't see a lot of people being on the app, because I personally am not going to sit there and say, yeah, I'm giving out candy, I'm going to turn on my light. But they can do that with this app. In addition, it will put a star next to predators and offenders' houses, so you know not to go there. And it does it automatically, which is a good thing. Now, I passed out something regarding the offenders that are in the neighborhood and predators, and I'll look for that email again. You should go to the FDLE listing, and I think I put I put the internet address where you can go and search out the map. You should do that before going out, especially in places like Northport, where there's apparently a lot of them. And I think in the same exact thread I put out, they covered how Northport has the highest per capita amount of offenders and predators compared to Venice and everywhere else. Well, excluding Osprey, because Osprey is so small, there was like 6,000 or something. It was pretty high, but that's due to just how small it is. I'll try, when I get done with this show, I'll try putting it back out. So you got so many worries, so many concerns out there now. You got kids, you got to worry about pills in your bag. You got to worry about drugs in your bag. You probably still got to worry about the razor blades and the apples and chocolate like I used to as a kid. You got to worry about walking up to some offender's house. You got to worry about the traffic. You got to worry about everything out there. Too much stress for me. Too much. All right. What am I talking about here? All right, here we go. City properties, interesting story. WWSB went out and basically they talked about how the city of Sarasota has over 200 properties, and did the realization that a lot of people didn't realize that they have over 200 properties. And then what they started looking at, and it's in part to this guy, Martin. Martin, I've shared a few of his videos. He's an activist up there trying to keep the government honest in the city of Sarasota. He's concerned because Barwin, who is the city manager there, is looking at purchasing a piece of property for $10 million. And he's like, why are we doing that? Why are we buying all this property, especially when you're out there and you're renting it for $1, and in some cases for $0? And I guess there's several properties that are right there on the bayfront that are being rented out at ridiculous rates, like $1 per year, sometime, or a month, or whatever the rate is. And you have that at all the government entities. We had it here in Venice. They had a hot dog stand at the Jetty, which just changed ownership. And essentially, we were paying them something like, I don't remember the specific number, I'm just going to throw it out there, something like $8,000 to clean the bathrooms in this facility that they were renting, the restaurant they were running, and in return they were paying something like $3,000 for rent. And so it didn't make sense for the city. Same with Sharky's. Sharky's for the longest time they had a ridiculous rent, and now it's gone up. They got to pay us a percentage of their profits, which changed a few years ago. But they had a sweetheart of a deal not so long ago. You do see that quite often. And then the other angle, besides just renting them out for a low rate and on our taxpayer dollar, is the fact that they will take they'll take any property that they think looks good and purchase it. We saw that with where the temporary Venice Library is now. Hollick said, oh, it's a hell of a deal at $1 million. We got to grab it. Well, what are we going to put there? We have no idea. Maybe we'll use it for parking spaces. We have no idea. It's just one hell of a deal. Let's grab it. And that's all they did. Had no idea what they were going to put there. And when the library moves and goes to their new $20 million one, they still have no idea what they're going to put in there. Then he wanted to buy pineapples for, I don't know, $10 million or whatever that price was for parking and to create another extension of the city hall, while at the same time trying to tell taxpayers that we need to increase your taxes for fire fees because we don't have money. Government. You'll never understand them. All right, what's this? Search for two. They're still looking for the two search. Let's listen to this one.
An edge after a man is shot right outside of a baby shower. John Rogers joins us live. He is in Sarasota tonight.
While they're talking, what's strange is they think this came from another fight, a previous fight in Palmetto, so they gotta know who these guys are. Why aren't they sharing their names?
He said he heard about 8 or 9 gunshots outside this house on Saturday evening. This has a lot of people on edge, especially since Halloween is just a day away. Keiko's
nice neighborhood.
Flooded with nice houses and perfectly manicured lawns. But if you look closely at this home, something is out of place. Bullet holes. Lots of them littered across the front entrance, a reminder of the chaos and danger that transpired Saturday night.
I'm speechless. In Sarasota, it's just crazy.
At around 5:20 that evening, close to 50 people...
And if you listen to this report, essentially what they come out with is this is the guy who was shot several times. He went to the hospital and, bad injuries, trauma, What's strange, though, I guess that guy was in a fight the previous day or night in Palmetto, and they think it stems from that. The guy that was pictured, that was shot, has a criminal record history, and they think it was some feud. Yet they're not sharing the individuals' names. They're just saying, originally they said 3 black individuals with hoodies. Now they're saying 2 with hoodies.
In this area, and it did.
Edwards has a criminal past, and detectives believe he was targeted because he was involved in a fight in a Manatee County nightclub the day prior. Locals say it's a reminder to be aware of your surroundings. All
right, so it was the day prior. So there you go. Tragic event. 40 people, 40, 50 people at this baby shower, and the guys get out there and just start shooting. What the hell's wrong with a breakdown of society? Let's see. The snowbird season starting. This was interesting. It wasn't real interesting. It's news that we already knew if you talk to a lot of the local business owners. And that's essentially that the snowbirds are here early. And they're here early. They think they came here early due to the fact that Irma. People had to come down and check their houses. And they said, you know what? It's a month early from when we would normally come. Why don't we just stay here? And so it's a good thing for businesses. So let's take a quick listen.
Well, it's fair to say that the weather may be a factor here. It's been beautiful out here all day long. You can tell it's a little bit, it's not super crowded right now. It was more so around lunchtime, and it should pick up pretty soon for dinner. But Hurricane Irma may be a reason why we're seeing more people come here earlier this year.
The cooler temperatures aren't the only thing returning to Southwest Florida.
The snowbirds are definitely on their way down here.
Karen Algaretti says she's noticed a big difference at her downtown business the last few weeks.
You can tell the transport vehicles are on 41. You know, you see them coming, and Definitely downtown, we've noticed an upsurge. The restaurants are busier a lot earlier.
The Visitors Bureau says tourism season usually kicks off after Thanksgiving. The reason so many may be here a month early to check on their homes after Hurricane Irma. It's why Monica Mix is here months ahead of schedule.
Very worried for everyone, but we were lucky. It seemed like afterwards, every phone call we got.
Yeah, as you can see, this lady and many others came down early because of Irma. I go to some, whenever I go out, I ask people, I talk to them, and I know restaurants have been saying, yeah, there's been a huge uptick. They're here a lot earlier. They're pretty excited about the fact that there's more and more people here. So it's going to be probably a good season. And again, they're attributing it to individuals like the one lady that came down after Irma, and they said, you know what? I'm here. I'm not going to travel back up north a month later. I'll just stay here. So good things happening in terms of snowbird season. Congressional Man Rooney's staff, again his staff, this is the second time they have a mobile office down here in Venice. Rooney is the congressman for Venice, Inglewood, Northport, and South. Vernon Buchanan is Sarasota North. They just divided our area not too recently, so he's going to be here from 9 a.m. till noon on Tuesday the 31st, which is today. You already missed him. I just caught that. I thought, for some reason, I was thinking it was tomorrow. He has already been here, but it was put out yesterday. Did anybody go to it? I should have gone to it. You know what I don't like that they do, though, is why can't he come? I don't want to go there and talk to his staff. If I wanted to talk to his staff, I would call. I want to see the actual Congress member here. I want him to sit there, and I want him to hear my issues, my concerns. I get why they don't come here, because all too often you get these extremists that go there and use these town halls, city hall type forums as a platform for them to get out there and with their agenda. And their agenda normally against somebody like a Rooney will be, oh, you're killing Obamacare. You're taxing, you're giving tax breaks for the rich, and you're moving it all to us. The usual stuff that's thrown out there. They are very verbal a lot of times, which turns into just a major mess. They don't know how to effectively communicate most of the time, from my experience being at these meetings. All right, that's it for local news, so let's hop over. If you want to stay on for some national news, not much out there. It's a dry day all around. Basically, one day tomorrow won't arrive. It was an interesting article. It basically talked a lot about how you never know what's going to happen the next day. With the crisis happening in North Korea, which I think is the next story down, you never know if a bomb's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to walk out in the street and get hit and die the very next day. You never know what's going to happen. North Korea, nuclear disaster. I guess at one of the areas where they're testing their nuclear bombs, they had some issue. I think it came caving in. It was like a quake or something, and it killed, I believe the count was 200 at the last story I read at their missile testing facility. But you never know because they're so secretive and closed off to society. You don't know. Is it 200? Is it 500? Is it 1? You really don't know. This was interesting. It was an Antifa. This happened yesterday. A guy, Mike Cernovich, he's an attorney, media personality out there. He went out to give a speech at this school, I think it was Columbia, and they took this picture. And what's interesting is no white supremacy. What's funny is Mike Cernovich is hated by the white supremacists, if you do any studying. But they say no pedo bashing, no pedophile bashing. Do you guys see that? No pedo bashing. Not only do they have that, they have NAMBLA. If you don't know do you guys know what NAMBLA is? What the hell is wrong with these people? So this is Antifa, the anti-fascists they call themselves. Someone made a brilliant point yesterday. Why call yourself Antifa? Why not call yourself American? Americans don't like communism. They don't like socialism. They don't like fascism. They don't like pedophilia. They don't like NAMBLA. These guys are out there with a poster with NAMBLA supporting them and saying no pedo bashing. It's the wackiest thing. What else we got? Tucker Carlson, he broke a story with Podesta's, which caused Tony Podesta to step down from their lobbying firm. And now they're threatening legal action if Tucker Carlson continues to talk about Uranium One, because Tucker Carlson basically met with a whistleblower that used to work with the Podestas, knows all about the Uranium One deal. And so now they're telling them cease and desist, or that's it. We're coming after you with legal action, because they're trying to silence the whole Uranium One story, which I got to tell you, it has been silenced because major media has been focused in doing the deeds of the major propaganda that's been pushed out by a lot of the leftists. Sorry, I got to say it, guys. That's what it is. Because I'm amazed that nobody's talking about this whole uranium story. Here it is, where WikiLeaks put out the cable where Robert Mueller was actually the guy that delivered the enriched uranium. There's the cable. There's the link. It's WikiLeaks. I've never seen WikiLeaks to be proven wrong. Basically, it says that Russia action request, Embassy Moscow is requested to alert at the highest appropriate level the Russian Federation that FBI Director Mueller plans to deliver the HEU sample once he arrives in Moscow on September 21st. And they go on to all that. You could just click the link. It's all right there. Veterans wounded in the line of duty find a mission to hunt pedophiles down. These guys do a lot of good, and that's all they do, man. Go out there, and there's been so many pedophile arrests lately. You don't hear about it on MSM. I'm not sure why. They talked a little bit about Nazi and capitalism, whereas a lot of people confuse Nazism with socialist and communist. But if you've ever watched a lot of these Hitler documentaries, Nazism was far from being associated with communism or socialism. I mean, he was adamantly against communism. They fought the Reds in the streets, and that's what brought about the rise of the Nazis. What is this? Obamacare imploding, and 37% increase on employment rates. Hopefully you guys are not on an Obama, because you're going to see a major increase. What's this? BuzzFeed says skincare is a white supremacist conspiracy. Where do they get this stuff? 9 dismembered bodies found in a Japan apartment. What else we got out here? When I do this segment, guys, I just try to read headlines and not opine too much. So, just reading some of the headlines that are out there. That's the cease and desist. The U.S. is exporting so much oil may strain the country's pipelines. What else we got here? That one I shared. Not a ton of... just not a lot of music or news. This one actually happened in Brainton, where the cemetery has animals that are digging the fresh... the bodies, not fresh, because I think they're veterans, Civil War veterans, out of their graves. All right, not much there. FGCU down in, Naples, it has a white racism class, and there's some controversy around that. All kinds of weird news out there today. All right, as I said, it was going to be quick. Not a lot of news out there. Getting ready for Halloween. The trick-or-treaters is going to be coming knocking on the door. Trick or treat, what will you be giving them? Hopefully some treats. All right, everybody, this has been Frankie Abbruzzino with The Scoop News.